I want to introduce you to a brand that I'm working with called Dizzo. They offer dissolvable supplement strips, which means the vitamins are absorbed 4 times more than tablets and capsules. So these are perfect if you want quicker results or maybe you can't take tablets. You guys know that I only work with brands that I love. I am personally using their B12 strips and their energy strip. As a business owner, I get tired. So I kind of need that boost every day, and these are definitely helping with my energy levels. I'm also taking their multivitamin strips, which taste lovely. Go and check out their website in the show notes. Go and order yours and let me know what you think. Welcome to the Life of KG, your ultimate destination for all things motivation and business insights. Join me, Katie Godfrey, serial entrepreneur and the brains behind the KG brand. Along the way, we'll welcome inspiring guests and share invaluable business tips to fuel your growth journey. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. With that said, let's dive into the world of success together. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of A Life of KG. And we're in the studio today, which is our first episode here, which I'm so excited about. Also, I wanted to tell you guys that I have finished my book, which, oh my gosh, it's been so hard to write this book. It's been the hardest thing I've done, but I've done it. I'm now going into self-editing mode and it's going to be released in 2025. So I need a favor from you guys. If you'd like to support me and if you would like to buy this book when it's available, I would love you to join my waitlist, and I'm going to be sending free bits and stuff in there too. So I'm going to add on the show notes the link to that. So if you could open up that link, pop in your details, you'll be on my waitlist and you'll be the first to know when it's released and what special we have the day of release. Anyway, I have Jacquie Laws on the show and I'm so excited to have her here. She is a branding specialist and she actually done all my branding for my coaching business, which I absolutely love. And you can see the podcast, that's all from that too. So we're going to be talking all things branding, traditional branding and personal branding. So without further ado, Jacquie.
Yay. Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming and welcome to being the first guest in the studio.
I know, this is a bit different, isn't it? It's a bit different to the Zoom.
I love it. We've come out of COVID times now. We have to be face to face. So I love it. Thank you for travelling down.
Oh, thank you.
So let's do an intro. Like, who are you? What you do?
Of course. So I'm Jacquie Laws and I'm a personal brand consultant and I'm also a content creation consultant as well. So I help women to really stand out online and offline and to basically step into their next level self as their true power and to basically shine their light and become a dream client and opportunity magnet.
Wow, I love that. What speech.
There we go. I haven't practiced.
So how did you end up getting into like the branding space? Was there anything particular that happened where you was like, oh, okay, this is really needed? Or what's the kind of backstory to this?
Yeah, so it's really weird because I was always creative in my family. I always loved the arty subjects, did that at school. And I actually wanted to always work in a creative role. I was actually told at the age of 17 that I wouldn't work in the creative industry unless I went to university by my teacher, my art teacher. And I never wanted to go to university. I always wanted to do something creative and find my own way of success. So I basically went out of my way to prove him wrong. Landed a job in visual merchandising. And basically I've only ever worked in content creation in the visual side of business, brand, graphic design, photography. Like I've worked in so many different industries for both agency and corporate side, working with companies like massive global brands down to individual entrepreneurs. But when I started my business after having my first baby, I basically forgot everything that I'd learned. So I started my business as a wedding stationer and was hustling my way because I just wanted some financial security and freedom. And I started my business, but had not done anything to do with branding. I was very sort of low budget, attracting lower paying clients that were very demanding, working crazy long hours. And then it got to a point in my business, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I showing up as a startup, as a hobbyist. Like, I'm really good at what I do. I've only ever worked in brand content. Why am I not implementing what I know already into my own business? So that's when I invested in my own brand. I rebranded. I positioned myself as an authority. I started showing up as an authority, and I started to attract clients really quickly, like the kind of clients I wanted to work with, rather than the ones that were just willing to pay me some money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it started. I scaled my business really quick to become an industry leading business, multi-award winning. Like, it was all really amazing. But because I was in the wedding industry, there's a really high turnover of clients. So when you work with somebody, you've done their wedding stationery, and then they go off and live their happy lives. And I just felt this need for more. Like, I didn't want to just have this conveyor belt of clients having amazing projects and then it was kind of left. Like, I loved that business owners started to come to me to ask for my support with, like, how do I make my brand content look so good? How is my branding so good? Like, how am I showing up with that confidence? And I didn't realize that it was obviously all of my past experience that allowed me to do that. And I started doing individual mentoring sessions for people. I started doing logo designs and stuff for the business owners. So that's where it all started. And then before I knew it, I'd launched my agency and was doing rebrands and websites and all of that kind of thing. And it just sort of skyrocketed, and it became what my purpose was. Like, I really love creating brands for clients, but I also love to empower others to really step into their power and show up as an authority in their field. So long story, but that's kind of how I got back into brand and really started to show up as an authority myself and to help other people. So I love the brand content side of things, but I also love to help empower other women to show up as who they are.
Yeah, I love that. And something that you said, like attracting like the lower paying clients, like that's such a thing. And I think people don't realize that when they build their brand up, it does attract that different type of client, that high caliber of client.
Yeah.
And the low paying clients, we might get more of them coming in, which I think is what everyone thinks. Well, my prices are cheaper in whatever industry this is, right?
Yeah.
My prices are cheaper, so I'll attract the clients. But one, you've got to work so much harder for less. And then they are difficult.
They are. It's like they're expecting a unicorn with a lemonade budget, aren't they? They just want everything, and they're so much more demanding. And there might be some really lovely clients, but I definitely found I was getting overwhelmed. And as a mum as well, you're trying to raise a human, run a house, as well as deliver to clients. And a lot of clients, because you need to take on more lower paying clients to pay the bills. Whereas when I upgraded everything and I started showing up as, like, I am actually really good at what I do. Like, why shouldn't people be paying me more? And actually, I don't want loads of clients. I just want a few aligned clients. And that is where everything shifted.
Yeah, so good. And branding is such a broad subject. Like, there's a lot when it comes to branding.
Yeah.
Traditional branding, and then we've got like personal branding. So is traditional branding, first of all, what would you say that is? And is that still important?
So traditional branding would be like your business branding. So it's what you see, like even the likes of Coca-Cola, like you just know, you would see a colour red and you might even associate that with that brand. And it's having your traditional branding is your business branding. So it's what makes you stand out as a professional. It's the sort of thing that would get people to stop in their tracks and want to know more about you. So that content that you're sharing, getting people to come on your social media feed, going onto your website, coming into your store, in your salon, whatever you've got. If you've got a professional, traditional brand, then people are more likely to want to come in. If that first impression, whether it's traditional or personal brand, if that first impression is it's kind of low end, kind of DIY, a bit basic, you are automatically putting the assumption in your audience or those passers-by that you're going to be cheap, that they will be able to walk in and get an appointment straight away, that you're going to basically be available for them rather than like they're actually coming in as an aligned client for what you want. And having a traditional brand is good. Like, it does help to attract those clients. But what makes you really magnetic, particularly if you are a solopreneur, if you are somebody that works on your own, if you want to be known for what it is that you do, if you have visions of things like writing a book, speaking, training your staff, all of that, and you want to be known as an authority in your field, then personal branding is exactly how you're going to be able to do that. And branding is the visuals. It is those visual elements of your brand. So it is your logo, your colours, the fonts, all of those visual elements that get that initial attraction with your audience, basically.
They're still important though, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
And how would you say, like, so starting from that, because I know when I start a business, whatever business that is, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, I need my website doing, I need my logo doing, I need my colour scheme. Like, then I still see that even now as like the first thing or one of the first things to do, especially a website. I do not understand why people don't have websites. Like, do you believe that or not? Or do you feel differently?
It's really difficult because with social media, we've got this free platform where we can take sales. We can take money through PayPal links or whatever. So we have the ability of having a business, and some people are very successful with having a business with no website. I personally think when you're building a brand or even a business, you need to have a website, because it's, even if it's just a hub to show people what it is that you do. If you only have an in-person premises, then people can find where you are. They can get a really good feel for you, because as humans, we are so used to checking out businesses online before we buy from them. Like whether it's to find out where they're based, to find out their prices or whatever, we will look for their website. So if you don't have one, you're automatically going to be putting that red flag up for higher paying clients, especially, but you're going to be putting up that impression that you're perhaps a hobbyist, you're a startup, you don't have as much experience as someone else. You're maybe not even going to get a good enough or as good a result as somebody that has got a website. So you're automatically putting that first impression out there into the world that you've not invested in yourself and your business. So why should they invest in you? Or if they do, it's going to be a minimal amount.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as you like grow and scale, you need the funnels, which you need then the websites, which obviously is more advanced, but they still need to be needed. And Google is still like the biggest search engine. Like, you're just missing so much traffic. But obviously there are businesses out there that are doing absolutely incredible just with their Instagram page. Yeah. But God, if Instagram was to go down tomorrow, you're pretty screwed, aren't you?
Exactly. And this is one thing that I've talked about a lot, is we put so much pressure on ourselves to get the followers up, to get the engagement, and to worry about the numbers that we've got. But actually, social media, you have no ownership over it. So if you are relying on that solely as your only marketing platform, that account could go tomorrow. And if you've not got a backup with your website, you're going to be really stuck. Your website should be your biggest lead generator and sales converter for your business. So if you don't have one, you're just missing out on a huge opportunity, basically.
Yeah, in Salon at the moment, we're actually doing, well, on our we have consultation cards anyway, but on that consultation card, we'll always say, where have you heard from us? And we'll always make sure the client ticks that. But outside of the consultation card, I'd say for the last 3 or 4 months, we've got like a long list of all the different ways that people could hear from us, all of our marketing layers. And we've been getting the girls to double check with all of the new clients how they heard from us. And I'd say 95% of it is for our website, not even social media. Whereas I put so much effort into my 4 posts a week. I get so stressed of it. I'll be like, making sure everything's perfect for socials. We'll obviously get Holly to come in and do our content for us. And the clients obviously aren't even seeing it from there. They're seeing it from our website. But then on my coaching business, we still make sure we're like so particular on the website and our blogs are done and all that jazz. But all of my sales mostly will be done through social media. Yeah. But then I know I'm safe if social was to go down, that I've got my website to fall on. Yeah. So
it's buying habits, isn't it? Like, we all buy things in a different way. It's like some people need to read every single word of a sales page. Other people, like myself, will literally get that instant impression and be like, yeah, this is the thing for me before I've even scrolled. And then I'm just like, where's that buy now button? But sales pages need to be designed in a way that is speaking to all types of people, because we've all got different personality types and how we buy is different for everyone, which is why you have multiple buttons like all the way down your sales page with different text, different headings and all of that. It's because it's designed in a way that is actually going to get every kind of personality type to want to buy from you in a way that feels aligned as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my website was done by you, wasn't it? We all like redone it all. So go and check it out because it's amazing. But when it comes to like color schemes, fonts, all of those things, which obviously are important, how does someone go about choosing what color scheme or fonts to go with? Because there's different things out there. People go, well, I'll choose it because that's my favorite color, not necessarily what will attract your ideal client. How does someone go about that?
So obviously I've worked in brand content like most of my life. So it's easy for me to hear about a business, hear about their ideal client, and just get a really good feel for what colors are going to be most aligned to them. If you're not a creative person, but you have a business, I would always say invest in somebody that knows what they're doing. It's the same as your car. Like, you wouldn't think, do you know what, I could actually work out how to do my own MOT myself and do all the qualifications for that. You're not going to do that because it's a risk. You're going to take it to someone that knows what they're doing, that's had the training, and is just going to be able to do it for you. And it's exactly the same with anything in your business. If you don't know how to do something, either learn how to do it or invest in someone that does. Your first impression is so important. So if you are in a position to invest in working with a brand designer, a website designer, or someone that does branding and websites, that is going to really help you. The other thing that you can do is actually work with a personal stylist. So where I work in personal branding, I am branding the individual. And that is different to business branding. So individuals have their own colours, and I am not a personal stylist at all, but a personal stylist will be able to tell you, based on your complexion, your hair colour, your eye colour, what colour is best suited to you. And it might not actually be your favourite colour. And this is the thing I hear a lot when people come to me for their branding is, okay, I know I want this colour. I know I'm really happy with the colours that I've already got in my business. I'm really happy with my brand. And I'll look at it. But after a conversation, understanding what they're about and the clients they want to attract, their business, their vision and everything, I'm like, actually, that might not be the best colour option for you. And sometimes it's a shift in the actual tone. So if they've gone for, let's say, a pink, sometimes if they've gone for a bright pink, but actually they'd be more suited to a softer pink, then that's something that I'd be able to help with. If you are doing it yourself, the best way of doing it is, I always recommend, as much as I hate to say it, I do recommend looking on Canva or Pinterest to get some inspiration, not to copy, but using Canva and looking at their templates, it means that you're going to get attracted by certain colours, because we are all, as humans, we're drawn to certain colours and repelled by certain ones. So by looking on Pinterest at mood boards, you'll get a really good feel for the ones that you're actually drawn by or drawn to. And I think one thing to look for is not to search for your favourite colour. Actually put in what business you have, or what is that, what do people say about you? Like, what is that, what are those 3 words that you use to describe your business? And put those into Pinterest as an example, and search for colour palette and see which ones come up and see which ones you feel that pull to, because actually that is quite often the sort of colour scheme that works best for you as a business and a personal brand.
I love a bit of Pinterest.
Yeah, you can't get enough Pinterest.
I know. We actually had a guest speaker in the mastermind not so long ago, and they were like all about Pinterest and how that search engine is so strong as well. So strong.
It's massive.
Your pictures just show up, even like years and years later. It's like definitely underutilized.
Yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
Anyway, we digress. So, okay, that's your traditional branding.
Yeah.
Personal branding.
Yeah.
Now, this is obviously huge nowadays, but I still think it's very, very new to people.
Yeah.
If people aren't showing up as a personal brand, like, how bad is that in their business?
It's so funny, because if you think about any leader in their industry, so whether it is Jenna Kutcher, Mel Robbins, like all of these people that you will have seen and heard online, you follow all their stuff, maybe you listen to their podcast, you will have an association with them. There'll be words that come to mind, colours that come to mind. And the reason that they stand out and have built such a successful business and brand for themselves is because they are a personal brand. So your personal brand is basically a reflection of who you are. It's showing up as your true authentic self. It's how you speak, how you dress, like your message that you have, the vision you have. It's everything about who you are and how you're showing up and how you help your clients. So it's all rolled into one. So it goes so much deeper than just those visual elements. The visual elements get that instant impression, but it's how you're actually showing up and delivering your message that helps you to stand out. So all of those leaders have a personal brand. That's why they're so famous and well known for what they do. We see the words personal brand thrown around everywhere. I feel like 2024, it's been almost a buzzword. Everyone's like, you need a personal brand, need to do this, you need to invest in your personal brand photography. And I do agree, but I do think there's ways of doing it. So I think to have a personal brand, you first of all need to know what your purpose is, and you need to know who you are. And quite often as women, especially those of us that have gone through transitional periods, like becoming a mum or going through menopause or having a breakup, you can lose kind of who you were before. And it's then this discovery of learning who you're becoming next. It's a journey that I've been on myself for the last 18 months or so. And it's something that is really, really important to do, because if you want to build a personal brand that stands out, that is aligned to where you're going, it needs to speak to your audience in a way that is really aligned and authentic to you. And you can't do that unless you know who you are. So it is a journey. It's not something that you're just like, right, I'm going to create a personal brand. I'll just go and create a new website and branding and everything. And then you're all done. It's a journey. It really is. It's not a quick fix, but it is something that you can do, and it is really important for your business.
There's loads of people that I talk to, and they'll be like, want to start this personal brand, but then they don't want to show up on camera. They don't do face to cams. Do you think this is needed, or do you think there's a way around that? Because it's quite difficult if you're not going to show up.
Yeah,
to then build a personal brand.
I think I hated doing lives. I hated showing my face on camera. I would be the person with the sweaty palms shaking, like my phone would have to be put down on something because I would be shaking so much that I just wouldn't be able to record it and put it on because my whole phone would be shaking around like anything. Yeah. But you have to do things that feel scary. I don't believe in doing things out of alignment, but I do believe in pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to see what feels good. And sometimes you have to do things a few times to actually feel more comfortable with it. But unless you do those scary things, you have no idea what's on the other side. Like, I love speaking. Like, I love running a podcast. I love coming on podcasts like yours. But I would never have known that had I not have fought through those first 3 Instagram stories that I did talking to camera. And I think if you want to be known as a personal brand, if you really want to stand out as a leader in your field, you've got to show your face. You've got to connect with your audience. And the only way of doing that is through personal connection, by speaking, like actually having conversations with people, because you can build a brand online and not talk. Like, you can just do it with imagery, but it goes so much deeper. You get a much stronger connection if you are speaking.
Yeah, there's something I've been trying to do lately. Like, I feel that I've built my personal brand quite well. I definitely don't think I'd be where I am in business now if I hadn't done that. But even now, I'm still building on that all of the time. Like, to obviously reach more people, like that never stops. And at the moment, I'm just trying to do everything as storytelling. That's like a really good way of doing it, and telling a story about anything I put up. There's something or a reason behind that. And that's been helping a lot. But when I teach like personal branding, or personal branding helps a lot with PR. I do a lot of work with PR with my clients, getting them in magazines, on podcasts and all of that stuff. I always say it's good to have like a story as well, but to try and help push that personal brand. But there are obviously loads of people out there that feel that they haven't got that story. Do you think that story is needed or not? Or if they're like, I haven't got a story, then how do they start that brand?
I think it's really funny, isn't it? Because when I used to do this all the time, I used to say to myself, but I haven't got an interesting backstory. Like, I've not got that. And you'd hear other people saying about like maybe traumatic things they've been through. And then I would think, God, like, I'm so lucky that I've not gone through some of the stuff they've gone through, but I've still gone through things like I've gone through multiple miscarriages, and I started my business when I had a baby. Like, that is hard. I was told as a teenager that I wouldn't get into the career I wanted unless I followed this set path that society deemed as being the norm. Like, they're all stories that I can tell and use because they're actually going to relate to my audience.
Yeah.
And I think it's finding your story, because you will have one. Even if you're telling yourself right now that you don't, you will have one. And if you really don't feel like you do, you can just share what you love, like what your passions are. If you love to travel, share that with your audience, because it's quite often those personal things that you do that you love that actually attract your kinds of people.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that, actually, because as you was talking, I was like, oh my God, I remember this task that I had to do. I can't remember who told us to do this. I can't remember. But I remember, actually, I think it might have been Danny Wallace when I was on her speaking stuff. So actually, I think it was. So shout out to Danny. She was like, along the lines of, note down your life when you was 1 to 4, anything you can remember. And if it can you remember from, I'm not 10 this as well as what she would, but from 5 to 10, anything you can remember, 10 to 15, and like up like that. And what things could you remember from being that age? Because it doesn't have to be anything tragic to have a story, like you've said. Like, if you haven't had a bad background, like, amazing. We don't want people to have bad backgrounds if we don't have to. But there would have been something like maybe someone chucked a comment at you that stuck in your mind, and then that could leverage then your brand and why you are how you are today. Or I don't know, something might have happened at school that you're like, oh yeah, this happened at school, so that's formed how I am today, or your first job, or whatever that might be. But outlining your timeline of however old you are now, all the different tiny events that would have created you how you are today. And I was like, that's actually such a good way of looking at it.
It's so good. And actually, like, even that in itself, we go through so many different emotions and traumas really when we're at school, like we do. I remember being terrified to put my hand up in class in case the answer was wrong and I'd look like an idiot. Like, I just wouldn't do it, even if I knew, I was 99% sure. I was like, I know this is the answer, but there's the 1% of me that's telling me it's going to be wrong, you're going to look like an idiot, people will laugh at you. And those thoughts that you have as a child do follow through into your adulthood. And even then they can crop up in ways of not feeling good enough, people aren't going to listen to me. And you can easily tell yourself that and then avoid doing that very thing from those past experiences or thoughts you had. Or you can decide that's not going to be my reality. Like, I'm actually going to do the opposite of that. I'm going to share that's what my thoughts were. And I'm actually going to inspire other people to share their voice in a way that is aligned to them. Like, I wouldn't be doing this now had I not have forgot about that thought that I had in my head telling me people won't want to listen to me speaking.
Yeah, definitely. And showing up as an expert, like also you said. So I always say to my clients, it's good to have a brand story if you've got one, like that own personal brand story of where you come from. And it's good to have like an expert side as well. Like, what are you an expert in? And then talk on that.
Yeah.
Do you feel that that's important as well? Like, having that expertise that you can go out and then you can go on stages, do the guest appearances, do the podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to remember that the expert is the person that knows the most in the room. And so often we tell ourselves, I don't know as much as that person. But actually, if you were hosting an event for even 10 people and you were the one talking, the reason those people have bought that ticket in the first place is because they want to hear you speak. So to them, you are the expert. There's always going to be people that know more like than you do, but it's about showing up as the expert and owning like what you know, like whether it's you've trained in something, whether you've done a course or even your own life experiences. They're all things that you can actually teach others and allow you to show up as the expert.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think it doesn't matter how much you grow as a business, or even when you've got this established personal brand like we have, sometimes we'll still go into rooms and be like, oh, I don't know why they've invited me to stand on the stage. Am I the expert here? So-and-so's here. They're way better than I am, or they've been in business a lot longer than I am. And you always second guess yourself. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this for. Do you feel that?
Definitely. And that's the thing with personal brand. It's a journey. Like, we're always changing. It's not like I've rebranded, I've done this, I've got my messaging, got my content, everything looks great. I don't need to do anything now. Like, you're always evolving. Like, if anybody that's listening to this has been following me for the last year, I have had so many pivots. I've lost count with how many I've had, but because I've shifted and changed into my next level so many times so quickly in just a year. And that's just what comes with building a personal brand. And sometimes it might take longer. Maybe you don't have any shifts for like a couple of years. Like, that's fine. But it's actually making sure that you're always getting to that next level or working towards it. And there's always going to be spaces where you feel like, oh my God, those doubts are going to creep in now and I don't feel good enough to be here and why am I here? But it's overcoming that and really breaking through that, because what is on the other side is that success and the things that you want most.
Yeah, I think people come with you on that journey of you changing as a person. And it's funny because I was speaking to one of my close friends the other day and she was like, I'm loving how you are on socials at the moment. And I was like, really? Like, I don't notice any difference, but your following is like spotting things that you might not even realize on how you're evolving as a person. She's like, I was like, well, how? And she was like, well, obviously years ago when she first started, like before we were friends, she was like, sometimes it'd be like that you're going here and there, or the things have got, or maybe more materialistic stuff. And she was like, which was amazing. Like, that's what your following liked at that time. She was like, but now it's more about, and then it went into like being a single mum, transitioning into that and being with my kids and working alongside the business. And she goes, now it's really about like your passion and what business really means and what is the real reason for being in business. And she goes, and that's really showing through.
Yeah.
So I'm evolving as a person, as a business person, as a mum, all of those things. But actually, when you are doing your face to cams all of the time, when you are bringing your followers on that journey with you, they also see you evolve.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where also your clients change, because as you change, your clientele will change, or your ideal client will change. Even from when I first opened the salon, I was 19. I like doing all the different types of nail arts. I'd have my nails all funky and all of these. My girls now still do all of that stuff because they love it. But then my ideal client started changing as I grew, as I started to mature.
Yeah.
And so your ideal client can also change with your personal journey changing too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also not having that fear of change, because I think that's a lot of the time people feel held back by that, because they think, well, this doesn't really feel aligned to me, but if I change anything, I'm going to lose people. And that is often the sort of trigger that stops people from taking that next change, that next level in their business, because they're so held back by that fear of change. But actually, sometimes that's exactly what you need to shift into that next level. And you will find that it will open up new opportunities, new people that are totally aligned with where you're going. And yeah, it's so worth just following your intuition. Your intuition always knows.
Yeah, it really does. One other question then. In my industry, the beauty space, lots of people go to me, well, is there any point like building a brand because I'm going to step out the business, or I want to sell it one day, or all of these things. They don't want to be front facing because then all the clients want them, not necessarily their teams. I still personally feel that that's still so important to make sure, because I believe that people will buy into the brand and that company rather than just the individual person.
Yeah.
What would your take be on this, and how would they get around that?
So there's a couple of different ways you could look at it. But what I would suggest is you work on your brand, because if you've got a strong brand, it's going to be so much easier for you to sell, because people will want it, because it's already really attractive. You're already getting the clients. You're already positioning yourself as an authority in your industry. Maybe you're becoming an award-winning like salon or wherever you're based. That is really essential. I think if you've got that vision of being able to scale it, to sell it in the future, then focusing on building that brand with the strong messaging, with the online presence, having that website and everything is going to make it so much easier to sell. What will also make it easier to sell is if you have a personal brand yourself. So I know it might feel scary for anyone listening to this, that, oh God, I need to set up another social media account. But actually your personal brand is something that will come with you. So if you are showing up as a leader in your field, even if it was a single page website, and maybe you don't even have to have a social media profile for it. If you want to set one up, you can do. But this is where you can actually be showing up as the authority, like you're the owner of this salon, but you're also doing this, that, and the other. And then as you evolve and change and offer different things, maybe you go into coaching or whatever you want to be doing, speaking, PR, like whatever that thing is, if you've got that personal brand, if you've got that website for your personal brand, it then means you're already positioning yourself as an authority, but you still have the salon that is branded in a way that is going to be easier to sell. But it then just means you've got two opportunities to sell that salon on in the future, because you can do it through your personal brand and or the actual brand itself. So yeah, I do think it is worth having that personal brand, but definitely work on the brand if you want to sell it.
Yeah, definitely. Amazing. Where can people find you if they're wanting help with branding, if they wanting to connect, if they've got any other questions?
Yep. So you can find me on Instagram at Jacquie Laws, which is JACQUIE laws.com. That's my website. But yeah, Jacquie Laws at Instagram is where I tend to hang out the most. So I'm assuming you'll put it in the show notes. But yeah.
Yes, I will. And you've also got a podcast.
I've got a podcast as well, which is called Becoming a Powerhouse Brand, which you are on as well with Lola Rose, which is very exciting. It's all about inspiring you to step into your next level self. And I've got a huge collection of amazing guests that have come on to share their journey, including you. And yeah, it's just a really good podcast to come and listen to. So check it out.
Amazing. So if you loved this podcast, please share the word as much as possible. So screenshot your phones, pop it on social media. Also go and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and also Jacquie's podcast. We'd be very, very grateful. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've loved having you on, and it's been amazing having you as my first guest in the studio. Thanks everyone. See you next time.